Ever wondered the history behind Griffith Observatory? Follow along in this report to find eye-catching views and the history behind its wonders. According to the LA Times, Griffith J. Griffith was born in January 4th, 1850, in South Wales and was brought to America by his parents as a teenager. He settled in LA and worked as a journalist as well as a mining advisor. Growing up, he was also known to be a philanthropist and an industrialist. According to the Griffith Observatory website, he gained most of his fortune through the Mexican silver mines. Due to his new fortune, he purchased the Rancho Los Feliz, roughly 4,000 acres, what is now known to be Griffith Observatory, and the Greek Theater. Griffith J. Griffith is also known as Colonel Griffith J. Griffith. You may ask yourself, did he serve in the military? According to the LA Times, no one could ever figure out what the colonel stood for, since the only military title he'd ever officially held was a major of rifle practice with the California National Guard. Other sources refute he was once married, and which is where he gained colonel onto his birth name. Did you know? As scary as it may sound, did you know Colonel Griffith was found guilty of assault with a deadly weapon against his wife? 2 years later, after his stay in jail and his divorce with Mrs. Griffith after the incident, Mr. Griffith then purchased the land of Mount Hollywood, better known as Griffith Park. Mr. Griffith had alcoholic problems, which led to such aggression towards his wife. After his release from jail, the time he spent served him to think over what occurred, as it changed him to become a better man in society. Did you know the idea of Griffith Park originated from Mr. Griffith's visit at Mount Wilson in 1904? The influence of Griffith Observatory came soon after Mr. Griffith looked through a 60-inch telescope, as his reaction was, in quote, man's sense of values, end quote, reflecting what he was seeing before his eyes, described by John Anson Ford. End quote. The experience moved him profoundly, a distant heavenly body suddenly being brought so close and made so real. End quote. In words of Griffith, end quote, man's sense of values ought to be revised. If all mankind could look through that telescope, it would change the world. End quote. After Griffith's visit at Mount Wilson, he desired in making science more accessible to the public. Moreover, my interviewee suggested an extended amount of educational programs to be added to the Griffith Observatory. I'm here today with Lynn Jo. What do you think about the renovated Griffith Observatory?
I think it's really good. There are lots of things to view, and actually we can see the downtown area really clear. One thing that I noticed is they can have more education programs. They have lots of stuff, but no people to show us what is the stuff, like the background about it. Yeah.
Did you know, on December 16, 1896, Mr. Griffith donated 3,015 acres of Rancho Los Feliz to the city of LA in order to create a public park in his name? According to the Griffith Observatory website, on December 12, 1912, Griffith proposed to the city of LA $100,000 for an observatory to be built on top of Mount Hollywood and to be fully owned and operated by the city of LA. According to the LA Times, in 1913, Griffith offered the city $50,000 to build a Greek theater. Furthermore, it was Griffith's wish for his guests to enjoy nature and provide a memorable visit. In words of Griffith, end quote, it must be made a place of rest and relaxation for the masses, a resort for the rank and file, for the plain people, end quote. Griffith said on that occasion, Colonel Griffith had plans for making LA a finer city, end quote. I consider it my obligation to make LA a happier, cleaner, and finer city. I wish to pay my debt of duty in this way to the community in which I have prospered, end quote. Griffith Park is now surrounded of great wildlife and nature, enough for guests to enjoy while in their hike or their picnic with friends and family. In 1916, Griffith's health, which is not the same anymore, he then understood his vision of a public observatory would not be realized in his lifetime. He prepared a will in great detail for the construction of a public observatory and of a Greek theater. including the nature of the observatory, its location, and its programs. On July 6, 1919, Colonel Griffith passes away from liver disease. According to sources, the Greek theater was officially opened to the public on September 25, 1930, and the Griffith Observatory was first opened on May 14, 1935. Did you know? Engineers from Caltech and Mount Wilson drew potential designs for the exhibits. Griffith Observatory was shaped not only by the minds of scientists, but also by the times in which it was built.
The structure itself is really good. It's just the education background. I wish it can be improved. I'm seeing that as a possible potential improvement part.
Did you know the observatory's planetarium was the third to be completed in the U.S.? In November 1934, the Astronomers' Monument was dedicated and held as one of the most important pieces of art to be completed by the program. 43 years later, Director Krupp recognized it was time for the renovation and renewal of the Griffith Observatory.